Hello everybody and welcome. I'm Matt, Senior Client Success Manager for White House Custom Color. And before we start chatting with Valerie Thomas today, we just have a few reminders. If you haven't subscribed to the WHCC YouTube, make sure and do that so you get notified of cool events like we're going to have here today. Follow along on Instagram at WHCC Pro. And for all of your product detail questions, check out WHCC.com. Today, if you do have questions for Val while we're going through this, make sure and put them into the chat. If you're watching this on the rewind, you can put your questions into the comments and we can definitely track her down. We know how to find her. So thank you so much for being with us today.
It's so an honor to be here.
Yes, we're glad you're here. It's an honor to have you in our house.
Great.
Yeah. So it's been almost 2 years ago that we met you in person for the first time at Sync in Florida.
That was fun.
It was fun, a little more beachy and warmer than it is in Minnesota right now. So for everybody watching today that has not heard of you or does not know you, tell everybody who you are, where you're from, what you do.
Yes. Hi, I'm Valerie Thomas, and I'm a high school senior photographer, portrait photographer, based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I've been in business for about 15 years.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And it's probably gone really, really fast.
It has.
You've seen a lot of transition in 15 years.
I have.
A lot of change.
With gear.
Yes, with capture, with product, with clientele, with pricing, with all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So what I loved about our conversation that we had a few weeks ago talking about the content for today is that you opened the conversation with a statement, and I think it's very, very powerful. You said, I want every customer to feel like they are my only customer.
Correct.
So that is easier said than it is done and executed. So what do you do to really set your studio apart in that? And you said multiple times during the conversations, my clients just know. They have that feeling, they understand. Like, how have you gotten to that place?
Well, the phone lines are always open. I always answer the phone. I'm
going to start calling you at 3 a.m. then.
Yeah. Don't. I'm an early riser, so I go to bed early.
Okay.
But anyway, yes, so the phone line is always open. I say I'm old school. Just pick up the phone and call me. From start to finish, it's client-centered focus. I don't want them to know that I have sessions after them, a few next week. They really are treated like they are the only customer I'm working with at the time.
Yeah, for sure. And you describe the business as a well-oiled machine.
It is, yes.
And you have your team, you have your makeup artist, you have your graphic designer, and yourself.
Yes.
And you guys work very, very well together.
Yes, we do. Yeah, it's made things, every year I look back and think, what do I need to change to make this easier for me? So it's been adding manpower. So a studio manager, I have somebody that edits for me from the very beginning, and then a graphic designer that helps me with some of the yearbook stuff.
That's fantastic. And then that really frees you up to create that VIP experience, which we're going to talk about here, and do what you love to do.
Yeah.
Versus what
Take
you don't.
Pictures
Yeah, exactly.
And meet with clients.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what you should be doing. And your personality and energy, that's what you definitely should be doing. So I know the answer to this, but how are you giving, especially your past clients, the VIP experience when it comes to scheduling with you? Because you're in high demand in Pittsburgh.
Yes. So I really want the clients that I've photographed in the past. So if I've photographed their families, children, even their business headshots, they get, I say, first dibs on my calendar. So they get notified in January that my schedule will be coming out around March 1st. And then when that happens, they get a text and email that day that the schedule is released. So those current clients get the dates that I have entered into my Acuity scheduling. For the girls' sessions, I've already secured hair and makeup. And so that day, I say it's like Ticketmaster.
I love that comparison.
Yes, I like to feel like important that day. So I hear like ding, 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 the email's coming in and they're booking.
Awesome.
And I let that stay open for about a week. Usually a little less because they're on it right away. And then after that, clients that have inquired but have never had a session with me, they book the next, I call it the second wave. So the first wave is current clients, the second wave is clients that have inquired.
Got it. Okay, so that, and for everybody following along, that's really lovely. But there's a lot that goes into that.
Yes.
And logistically to figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, and I hope that everybody heard what she said, you are releasing your schedule.
Yes.
You are making it available. You aren't just constantly available.
No.
So you're creating this exclusivity
Yes.
to, first of all, your current clients. So there's a
Yeah.
tremendous value in being somebody who has worked with you in the past.
Yes.
That also takes internal tracking.
Mm-hmm.
That also takes keeping separate the people who have inquired and making sure including the first wave. So
Yeah.
well-oiled machine, let's go
Yes.
back to that. So in 15 years, you probably weren't able to do that from day one. This has to have been something that's developed over time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm just an organized person
Okay.
to begin with.
Got it.
So it was something as simple as getting my kids are older now, they're in high school, but when they were not, I borrowed a neighbor's yearbook. So I went
Okay.
through and looked, because I photographed mostly seniors, made sure that those clients that I knew, they had my schedule first, or for somebody that I know but didn't photograph, I also let them know that my schedule was out.
Got it.
So just as simple as the yearbook.
Awesome. And when was
Yeah.
that? That was like in the very, very early days?
Yeah.
Wow.
Probably 10 years ago.
I just learned something about you.
Yeah.
That's impressive. But that's what it takes.
Yeah.
If you want to be successful, things don't just come automatically. Like, you have to do research.
Yeah.
And especially now in this day and age with, back when I had my studio, you could purchase a list, or you could get a list from a school or
yes.
whatever. Like that, those days are gone.
No.
So you have to have ways of finding people out, and the way that you're separating into buckets and waves, like you call them, and then filling out your schedule.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I mean, so in the spring, you essentially are booked for the year.
Yeah, definitely through August.
Yeah, that's
September is usually the last to fill.
Congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah. So you said that with your girl sessions that makeup is included. So tell us about the percentage split between photographing guys and girls, how you know which sessions to book makeup for. Like, how do you manage that on the schedule end of it?
I kind of look at my schedule in January for the whole year. So if I know it's a session that's coming up on my vacation,
Yep.
I might put a boy in there because they're easier to reschedule, due to rain.
Got it.
Because they don't require hair and makeup. So
Yeah.
I look at the schedule that way. And determine, and usually it's about 70% girls.
Okay.
But this year I had an influx of boys because my son is in that senior class.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And you don't want to disregard boys.
Yeah.
I mean, they're awesome. They're
Yes,
fun
they
to
are.
photograph. They have moms who dearly
Yeah.
love them, and dads too.
Yeah.
But definitely don't forget about the guys. So when people are booking with you, so you send out this first wave, say March 1st. Is that
Yes.
that accurate? Okay. And you're giving your VIPs or your past clients like a week or two-ish maybe to book.
And I tell them that they are a VIP. So in January I say you are on the VIP list.
Okay.
So they know.
There's a lot of power to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So then when people are going in and scheduling those sessions, are you taking any sort of a retainer? If so, like what do you
session
collect?
fee.
The session fee, okay.
And for girls that would include hair and makeup as well.
Got it, okay. So then for hair and makeup, that is part of the session charge, so they're paying you and then you're paying your makeup
Correct.
artist. So you have a really good relationship with your makeup artist because you're sending a
Yes.
lot of business her way.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So hour-wise, how long do you schedule for a guy versus a girl, including the makeup time?
So for a girl, it's about 6 hours. So
Wow.
they start at the hair and makeup studio, which is about 15 minutes from my photo studio. That lasts about an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half, and then travel time.
Okay.
And then they arrive at my studio for their yearbook headshot. So the school district that I'm in still requires a formal yearbook portrait.
Okay.
So the girls wear an off-the-shoulder black top, and the guys wear a suit and tie.
Okay.
So for guys, my session time is about 4 hours because it's minus the 2 hours for hair and makeup.
Okay. Do you ever get pushback from guys on that? Are they like, oh, Mom, I don't want to do that for 4 hours? Or is it just
Yeah,
because of your
they do.
style?
Yeah.
They do
just,
push
I can
back?
relate. I have an 18-year-old son, so I know it's going to be fast, and we're going to be moving, and they're just going to forget that they're getting their photo taken.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
and they have fun.
Yeah. So you're, just to clarify, so it doesn't matter if it's a guy or girl, you were starting at your studio,
Yes.
getting that formal headshot indoor portrait done. So first outfit inside,
Yep.
boom, quick. I'm assuming you're probably choosing the image while they're there.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. And
I
then
either shoot tethered or I just put the memory card in because it's not that many. It's just one shot and they turn to the right or the left.
Yep.
And then we select that yearbook photo there, or at least narrow it down to their top 3 to 5 images.
Got
and
it.
then at the ordering appointment after the session, we finalize that selection.
Cool, and then you provide that for the yearbook
Yes.
later on.
Yes.
Perfect. So then from there, they're changing the first outfit. You're heading out to beautiful locations like we see on the wall
Yeah.
behind us. I'm guessing you have a plethora of locations
do.
that you photograph, and Pittsburgh is so beautiful. In
It
a way.
is. Yes.
Do you ever use bridges in Pittsburgh to
I
photograph?
do, yes. Because there's so many
Because
of
there's
them.
so many of
the
them.
City of Bridges.
Yes. So
Yep.
give me a time link. So if the for you here this morning, so I'm going to set this down here for just a second. So
Yeah.
this is one of your favorites,
Yes.
the blush linen.
Yep.
This is a 9x12, which is my favorite size,
Yeah.
with the cameo cover. And again, that's one of your favorites. So
Mm-hmm.
why do you love this combination, Val? You were telling
Yeah.
Lori out on the floor why you love this. Can you?
I love it. It just is like an interior designer's dream. It's just such a pretty display.
Yeah, it definitely is.
When they walk into my studio or my home and they see these, it's definitely a showstopper.
For sure. And the linen to me, when you see the material on the floor, it's beautiful, but then when you actually see it on
Yeah.
the cover, there's something about it that just really elevates. To me, it looks like a Restoration Hardware
Yeah.
coffee table book. It's beautiful. So as we open this up here, you have your white textured end leaves, and then we go to your interior pages. You're starting with a beautiful full spread, information about the senior. So here are just some of the spreads here, but that's just a gorgeous book.
I love it.
And you watched that being made.
Yeah,
This
that
was
was so
done
neat.
right in front of your eyes. So
Yeah.
what is your impression of seeing the book made or seeing the album made? Like what struck you?
Well, I always say to my clients, this is something you can't produce. It's just, such a quality product.
Yep.
And then when I saw what it takes to make it and the people that make them,
Yeah.
it just really all came together.
Yeah, for sure.
Today,
We're pretty,
yeah.
we're a pretty fun team around here.
Yeah.
So now you have people scheduled. You went
Yes.
through wave 1, wave 2.
Yeah.
You haven't gotten to May yet. You do something that I think is really cool. Your next step is what?
It is a senior showcase event. Oh,
Okay.
well, 2 things.
2 things.
So
okay.
that and then also this.
Okay.
So in the winter months I work on, I call my magazine.
Yep.
So this is everything you need to know about preparing for a session with me.
Okay, so this is something that we've talked about, and of course, since we're a print lab, we love
Yeah.
when people do physical products. But there's been so much emphasis within recent years of everything being digital and everything being email, newsletter, which is
Yeah.
great, and Instagram and Facebook and all the things. The power of a printed magazine piece going out to clients is a very high-end feeling.
Yes.
Like when you think about the catalogs you get in the mail, like you were just saying,
Yeah.
there's people who are going back to that because
Yes.
it is such tremendous power. I mean, I don't want to give away my age or anything, but when I was a kid to get that J.C. Penney's
Yeah.
Christmas catalog,
Oh, yeah.
I drove my mom crazy,
Yep.
with that thing folding down the
And
cover.
Neiman Marcus has
Yes.
never discontinued their print.
So,
Yeah.
taking the time to put together a beautiful piece like this and sending this out to your seniors, because people will look at this. You may think that
Yeah.
that they won't, but they will.
do.
They do. They read it, and it's beautiful, and it's a very, very high-end feel. So this magazine goes out to each of them, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Once they're paid their session
Once they
fee,
pay their
all this
session
stuff.
fee, yep.
So tell us about these a little bit.
This is just a
Valerie.
little insert that goes in the magazine, and it's
Okay.
a portrait prep checklist.
Okay.
So just what they need to do, what they need to bring, and then they can check it off.
Got it.
All the accessories they would need.
And you have one for girls and one
Yes.
for guys. It
Yes.
is coded by
Color-coded.
color. Yes, exactly. So again, nothing that is earth-shaking,
Yeah.
but it's another level of that VIP service and making people understand, okay, this isn't just something online. This is
Right.
physical. Oh, cool. I got
Yeah.
a package from Val today. Let's
Yes.
take a peek at that.
Yeah.
I mean, these are really nice and simple things that, they might not
Yeah.
know. Like I love on here, make sure your tie is tied. How many people out there know how to tie a tie. There was an internal
Yeah.
conversation about Halloween costumes and tying ties here at White House the other day. So, you know, simple things like that that you might not think
Yeah.
about. It's just good reminders. And,
Yes.
and what that says to me is that you've been around the block.
I've thought of everything.
You've done this before.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So those are lovely, and I think that Lucas was able to put that up on the
Great.
screen. Yep, perfect. Okay, so tell us about.
Yes, now we can skip to this.
Yeah, let's talk about this. Okay.
Okay.
So tell us about this event.
Okay, so this was the first one that I did
Okay.
this year. So this spring, in May, you know, I've been doing this for a while, but
Yep.
I'm like, I'm going to try something new.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna flip
because
around back here.
my schedule was basically filled up by May,
Okay,
I decided to have a senior showcase event.
got it.
A lot of these seniors or the moms or dads have already met me or know who I am, but they don't know my team. So I had my hair and makeup artist there, I had the graphic designer that I work with there, and my studio manager.
Okay.
And we just hosted it at a local boutique. And I also had giveaways.
Awesome.
So I had $25 off their yearbook ad design. I did a 12 by 18 framed print from White House.
Which
that
just shipped?
Yes.
Yes.
Last week. And then the hair and makeup artist offered a spray tan. And so they got to put their name in the hat. It just drew people to the event. They were super excited to meet the whole team.
That's
especially the makeup artist, and talk about, you know, what they wanted with their hair and makeup before the actual day.
Yeah, for sure. And what I think is cool about that, and I don't know if everybody picked up on this, before you started explaining this, you said, I'm almost fully booked for the year. So this is just a reinforcement at
Yes.
that point. And you know, you mentioned on our call, you're like, I have all my products out.
Yes.
So people can start looking and kind of choosing in a way.
Yeah.
You know, of do I like the 8x10 album, or do I want to upgrade, or you know,
Yes.
do I want wall products? Like, and starting to get those gears
Yep.
turning before you're ever doing the session. And from what you've described, this was extremely successful
It
for
was.
you. Yeah.
Yes.
At very minimal cost, if
Yeah.
any,
Yes.
to you.
And some current clients came, but a lot of the new clients.
Awesome.
So they did get to see the albums and image boxes and.
Very cool. And this is a 5x7 card printed on pearl paper,
Yes.
which looks lovely on here from White House. So you're utilizing the press card products for something other than a holiday card or
Yes.
grad card or whatever. Okay. So explain what you do with these then, too. I'm
Okay,
going to hold these
so-
up for Connor.
After the album is packaged through White House and comes in, I write a handwritten thank you note. So,
Okay, and that's
but
right
my
there?
I always try to, you know, showcase my photos every chance I can.
Yep.
So this is a press printed card. I showcased some seniors here. I did the foil pressed.
Yep.
I wrote a little message on the back, and then the back of this one, and then I'll
Yep.
also write something handwritten. And then this is just a big business card.
Okay.
And that's included with the album so they could share it with their friends.
Fantastic. So you're tucking both of these into the Euro
bow.
flap envelope, and then that's going into the bow. So it's personalized for the client. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then you even said, for another level of VIP, I said, so do you drop ship? Do you pick up the studio? You're like, oh no, most of my clients live pretty close to me. I just take it to them.
Yes.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time, except for DoorDash,
Yeah.
that anybody delivered to my
Yeah.
house.
I just grab a cup of coffee and I drive around and
That's
drop
awesome.
them off. But it's also a chance for me to, if they are interested in wall art, when I'm dropping off their album, to go in and measure the walls or just look at the space
Yep.
to start that process.
Fantastic. So everybody, all of your seniors, have either an album or an image box.
Correct.
100%. That's fantastic. And what is your percentage of albums versus image boxes?
I'd say 95% albums.
Okay, so the album product is definitely the most popular there,
Yes.
and we love them. I mean,
Yeah, they're so pretty.
I love going through the tour that we did with you this morning, because we learn stuff every time, and the
Yeah.
team just loves what they do, and the quality control is so good. Okay, so I bumped ahead a little bit there talking
That's
about product,
okay.
but it was a good place to drop it in. So now you've photographed the session, you've booked them, you have the catalog that's gone out, you have your boutique event, and now the session happens.
Yes.
Okay, so once the session occurs, 4 hours for guys, 6 hours for girls, what's next?
A week from that day, 5 to 7 days, we meet in person
Okay.
for their ordering appointment.
Okay. And that's at your studio?
At my studio or at my home.
Okay.
It just depends on where the client lives.
Got it.
But most of them are in the township that I reside in,
Got it.
so we just meet at my house.
I just love that you're just like, oh yeah, you can just come over to my house. We'll just hang out, you know,
Yep.
and do that stuff. So during that process, I'm just going to pull this out here in a minute. So during that process, what software are you using to narrow
Just
down?
using Lightroom.
Okay.
I show them in Lightroom, and then I use my own filter system. So the selection process, I star.
Okay.
And so the stars become their album, you know, those images, those 40, 50 images become their album. I also like hand over my keyboard and have them select their top 10.
Okay.
That helps me greatly because it shows me which pictures to focus a little bit bigger on in the
Sure.
album. Also, we discussed the opening spread, what picture that should be, what picture is going to be on the cover. So the appointment lasts about an hour and 15 to an hour and a half.
Okay, that's pretty quick. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm assuming if you're doing 4 hours or 6 hours, you're, I would assume, an overshooter?
Yes,
Yeah. So, so how many images are you showing them to begin with?
about 200.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you're starting at 200. You're getting them down to 40 to 50 for their
Yes.
album in an hour and 15 minutes or hour and
Yep.
a half. Boy, you must talk fast. Because that seems like about a
Yeah.
4-hour process
Yeah.
to me. So I'm not encouraging showing people 200 pictures. Just for the
Yeah.
record, no.
Yeah, it just, I mean, we want the album to tell a story.
Yep.
So that selection becomes very easy because I have examples of the album and then they select, you know, one photo looking away, one full shot of the whole scene, a close-up.
Yeah.
So that we really just narrow down to the album.
Got it. Okay. So
Yeah.
so then when you're doing that, 40 to 50 images, you're designing the album. Are you proofing that back to the client, or are you just ordering it just because Valerie likes how the design looks?
I send it through the album design company that I use. I do send a digital copy of it where they digitally page through it. They can make comments.
Okay.
I'd say most people just click approve
Okay.
because we've done all of this.
Okay.
We've worked through the album. They know what to expect. A couple times they might change the location of a picture, but it's super easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like that's a very low percentage, if any, that
Yeah.
people are changing things around. Okay, that's just good to know. Okay, so another thing that you said on the call, which I loved, was I make everything look pretty.
Yes.
And you referenced your pricing folio, and
Yes.
and you when you're working with people, you're presenting this to them.
Yeah.
So explain to me kind of how this is working, and do you
Yeah.
switch these out, or what? How do you use
I
this?
do. So this is the pricing they receive when they book the session with me.
Yep.
So it's the same exact thing. So
Okay.
they're seeing it again for the second or third time.
Yep.
So basically it's this page that they're looking at for the ordering appointment. So I have pictures of the products, so the album, and then image boxes,
Okay.
and they're the exact same price actually.
Okay.
So it's just a matter of how they want to display them. Do they
Got it.
like an album? Do they like an image box?
Right, and it's just such a nice presentation instead of a piece of paper.
Yeah.
You know, to have that into the image folio, that's cool.
Yes.
Okay, so in your collections, your albums start at 810, and then they go to 912.
Yes,
And then to
sizing.
1114.
Yes.
Okay, so do the number of images increase in those then
They
too?
do.
Okay, so 40 to 50 to start with,
40,
and then
it goes 40, 60, 80, because
40,
there's,
60, 80.
yeah,
Okay. Oh, 80 images, that's a lot.
yeah. That's like a wedding album.
Oh, but the 11 by 14 size is
It's
just gorgeous.
huge. I don't sell many of those, but,
Yeah, but
I
they're-
have it there.
That's, well, they're
Yeah.
beautiful. So you also mentioned too, Val, that once you are giving them the album, you are also giving them access to the files that they have purchased. And you're generating sales after the fact. How are you
Yes.
doing that? What is your
Through a
process?
past online gallery.
Okay.
And then I have White House Custom Color as the source to order the prints. So basically they can order prints.
Cool.
Anything specialty like albums or canvases or anything like that or frames would go through me.
And what was the size cutoff? Did you mention that it was 1114?
Probably 1114.
Okay, so then you're giving access 1114 and smaller for people to be able to
Yeah.
order through a past gallery, and then if they want larger, or you're discussing that when you drop off the album, then you're handling that
Yes.
wall design. And
Yeah,
that
because the
kind of stuff.
wall art is very custom.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure with, starting at 40 to 50 images, I mean, there's
Yeah.
so many spreads that you could take and put up onto the wall.
Yes.
And design the wall art. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Okay, so you mentioned out on the floor, you're like, some of my albums ship so fast that I have to hold them to make it seem like it's taking longer. So what do you actually tell your clients for the delivery time for their orders?
So I tell them basically from the day of the session to the day that the album arrives at their home is about a month.
Okay.
So the session, then a week later, the in-person ordering appointment. Then the next week, they would get the files in the online gallery.
Yep.
I design the album. And then they have to approve the album.
Yep.
So that could take a little bit longer, but if they approve it right away, then they get it, 10 days later.
Got it. So with that delivery system, so you're dropping it off at their house, you've got the thank you cards, you've got all the things. What is the next level of service coming from Val? Like, do you have an idea of like continually how to push that level of service and recognition up over the years?
Just being in my community, supporting them at their sporting events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being present.
Being in the community,
That's
for
awesome.
sure.
And your son is a senior this year. Awesome.
And my daughter's a sophomore, so.
Well, and now so you'll probably have a bigger influx of girls when she's a senior. Yes. Well, this has been awesome. We love having you here.
Me too.
I love when we're doing YouTube lives and we start talking and the cameras just kind of go away.
Yeah, they did go away.
That's fantastic. And we really appreciate everybody joining us today. If you do have questions for Val, definitely put those into the comments and we will follow up with her to get any answers on that. Just a couple reminders too. Make sure if you're not following along on the WHCC YouTube to hit subscribe. Follow on Instagram at WHCC Pro. And for any questions about products, details, all the things like that, hit up WHCC.com. I'm Matt, hanging out with Valerie Thomas. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you at the next one.